I'd seen so many great online things about tech and about streaming and you know all the doings and all the learnings, but really not about how we kind of internally cope and deal with all these changes. And so I thought, well, let's just have a chat about this because I've faced some stuff, and some I've navigated and some I haven't. And the first person I thought of to do this with was Carolann, because she just always seems like she's diving in and navigating and
Seems. That's the operative word there.
um, so I'm going to start us down a path, and then we'll see where it goes. And y'all just jump in, not in the way that other people have been jumping in, but, you know, constructively jumping in, and tell you that in, I guess, March, when we landed home and realized we were going to be here for a while and it was so new, we kind of went into panic mode, and we said, we have to do all of the things. We have to do online stuff on, you know, concerts, and we have to do live stuff on Facebook, and we have to this, and we have to, and I was watching people really dive in and embrace the technology and the new stuff, and we were not. I mean, we were trying, but we weren't succeeding, and we got onto what I'm going to call a hamster wheel of doing these things, because we have to play, we have to perform, we have to connect with our audience. And at some point in time, I guess in the summer, we realized that we weren't joyful in that. And so we did a thing that we did when, in our early touring days, which is actually, I'm going to call it a rating system, but we evaluated what had then been regular gigs and said, well, you know, how many people did we get in front of, and did we sell product, and how much money did we make? But also, do we like the people that we met? Was there joy in the gig? You know, was there all those intangibles? And we just started giving things a rating system. And touring, some of the gigs that we had gone to fell off the grid. We just said, nope, not going back to that anymore. And some of them, we just changed our narrative to say, well, no, we don't love that, but it serves a real purpose. And if we understand that we do this so we can do the thing we love, okay. And so we started evaluating going forward with all our online stuff. And to my big surprise, the thing that we enjoyed the least was online concerts with just us, like our own, hey, we're performing, and we stopped doing them. We stopped in July. That was, I think, July or August was the last one that we did, where it was just us performing a concert. So I don't know, is that a big enough point for conversation for anyone?
Yeah, for sure. I love, first of all, I have to say, I love that you guys are so, as you are with everything else, thoughtful and mindful and organized about how you approach it. It's like, is this serving us? Is this working? You know, you did a thoughtful evaluation about what was going on with you. For me, it was a little more flailing, you know. I did the opposite. My panic mode was kind of to shut off completely. I was, you guys, I was telling Christine this earlier, that when, you know, I wasn't able to do the things that I usually do during my daytime hours, you know, that when I'm not playing, is I would spend my time, you know, booking and managing and doing all the daytime tasks. I'm sure you guys, you know, a lot of you are familiar with those things too. But when that is taken away, or when you're doing the opposite of that, essentially negating all of the gigs, I you know, I know lots of you did the same thing. It's like you have to kind of cancel each one, and I didn't anticipate at how much the cancellations were going to affect me emotionally, and I kind of withdrew completely, and I found myself without creative energy of any kind, and I was unable to write. I was unable even to perform. I didn't want to touch my guitar. Everybody else was flooding the internet with these wonderful concerts that I would catch from time to time, and I was making sure I was like tossing some tip money to people who were doing it. But it was like a sea of despair for a few months for me. Like, and I'm getting to a point where I'm pulling myself out of it. But first, crash, burn, epic fail, epic fail. Can anybody relate? I hope I'm not the only one who did that. But there was light. There was
Yeah.
light. I started evaluating in a much less methodical way than you guys did, Christine and Aiden. What This is not working. This is not working for me. How am I going to do this? And I started to go back to my online songwriters meeting that I would every week, every Monday for years. I have been going to the Jack Hardy Songwriters Exchange in person in Manhattan, and it was, whether or not I had a song, and it was a creative way to, we keep each other accountable. Everybody writes a song, you bring it for feedback, and we'd moved the meeting online, and I'd kind of withdrawn from it. But I, even going back, even if I was just there to listen, was really helpful to me. So that community thing that you mentioned,
Yeah.
Christine, that was my kind of first step out of it, and other people asking me to do work too. That was another thing. It's like, oh, do you have time to add some harmony to this? Do you have time to add a little bass to this? Finding new ways to collaborate was a big deal for me. Like you said, you got bored with just, or it wasn't serving you to just do the concerts with yourselves, and, sharing it is much more important.
Yeah, so I guess for me, the lesson there was to kind of check in with myself, with ourselves, because I'm part of a duo, but to just check in, because it's easy to get into these habits of just doing and not stopping and going, oh, I feel a little unfulfilled. What part of this isn't serving me?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that was a thing that helped quite a bit.
And, we're not even touching the business aspect of any of this in this conversation, because that's a whole other ball of wax. And if it had been a business conversation, I would have been the wrong person for Christine to hook up with here, because
Well, I mean, I do feel like there's
dive.
been a lot of conversations about that and a lot of
Yeah.
workshops, and I've been to some and they've been good, but yeah, that's not me. It's not what I would,
Yeah.
contribute to.
And part of me thinks am I totally in denial for like ignoring that part or putting that part of my life on the back burner at the moment. It's totally impractical, like, to not worry about making a living. And I'm glad, that I'm able to, my husband's at work too, or collecting unemployment, and I'm very glad that I'm able to do that. Not everybody is, so maybe it's good that, people like me step back, and I'm not pursuing online concerts or anything like that very much, to leave room for those who really, who haven't had the benefit of collecting a little unemployment. But still, the mental health starts to suffer, and then the physical health starts to suffer when you're not creative. It's like, how do we get back to this? And for me, it almost, it started with the community thing, but it also started with, okay, how do I go inside and take care of, the basic needs first? Because if you're not taking care of, your basic physical, emotional needs, how can you be creative? I can't, like, it was, I'm a person who struggled with depression. It's kind of like that, it's kind of when you're feeling that way, if you're not, making sure you drink water, make sure you eat when you're hungry, making sure you are nurturing your body and your mind, then how can you possibly be creative? And Christine and I were talking about the various ways that we start our day now.
Or try to.
ensure
You're better
for
at that than I am.
I don't know. You do what you have. Just go ahead. Tell them what you do in the morning, every morning.
So I had realized that I feel better if I do something physical and kind of mindful that isn't work in the morning. So maybe that's yoga, or maybe it's a hike, or something like that. But I also found that I wasn't always doing it, because you know how it is. I would have a deadline. I promised somebody I would get this thing written, or I would videotape something, and there's a moment where that has to be done. And I would say, well, I have to do this, so I'm just going to sit down and do it. And I would. but I started, because I am organized and very businessy about these things, I started making a note about whether I ever got back to doing the yoga or the hike thing late in the day, and I don't. So I intentionally said, okay, I'm going to make myself do the thing in the morning before I hit the deadline, right? Before I do the important thing. And I always got the important thing done. It's not like this half hour cut into my day so overwhelmingly. In fact, it probably helped me to get it done, right? But the thing that made me see that was that Aiden, who was my husband and partner in music, he walked in and he said, I haven't played guitar in days. And which wasn't quite true, because he had worked, we had, done tasks that involved the guitar. But I think what he meant was, I haven't played, I haven't enjoyed. And I said, why not? And he goes, well, I have other things that need to be done. And I'm like, well, doesn't that need to be done? Don't you need to enjoy playing guitar? And it was so obvious for me to see that in him, but not for my own need, right? So getting myself out of the picture helped me to see that. And I did my little experiment where I wrote down, yes, I have proof now that I can do the thing in the morning and still get my obligations met by the afternoon. So it's just a perspective shift. I think that sometimes we have to put ourselves into that perspective shift and do the little experiment and say, I'll try this once. Does this work? Yeah. No.
And making that time.
I found it interesting that you referred to the thing you had to get done that day as the important thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing you do first thing in the morning now, that's the important thing.
The important thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's so easy to just forget about ourselves and place the importance somewhere else.
Yeah, because it equips you more. I do a similar thing. I do not hike in the morning. I live in Brooklyn, and yes, there's sort of hiking in the park that I do later in the day. Another time, first thing in the morning, I roll out of bed and onto my yoga mat, and there's meditation and there's yoga. Just about every day. It was every day for a while, and then I realized that I needed to be even a break from that. So it became non-negotiable 6 out of 7 days a week, and I'm not a person who schedules. I'm a person who resists scheduling and deadlines and regimentation of any kind, but this has become a non-negotiable in my day. Every morning from 8:30 to 10, I am on my mat. And everybody knows that in my house. I have a husband and a teenage son, and they know this is where mom's going to be at this time, and grateful that they have given me that time, and I have a space that is my own for that in the house, little corner in the living room. I light my candle, and I'm there. And it's not always easy, it's not always fun, but it is something that fortifies me. It connects my body and my mind together, because they often function as completely separate things, my body and my mind, and not always moving and thing with each other. So this helps that. And even if I accomplish nothing else in the day, nothing at all, I've at least done that one thing. And it makes me feel, because time is fluid, gelatinous now, but making, that was the first step into scheduling blocks of time for things, and as though, I would, if somebody else was dictating my schedule, like when, right. Like, Michael just asked me how the kids are. There's one kid, he's almost 15. And he's doing okay, but when you have other members of your household, and some of you probably do, kids and spouses and partners, and, we have to worry about their welfare too. And, he's struggling with his freshman year in high school. And so there's a time of day and a space in the house that is carved out for him to do his work. And I have set alarms to do this. I set alarms when I know that that he's in between classes. and I make him get up and dance around with me because, you know, he too
Yeah.
needs like the body-mind connection. It's like if you sit there and you stare at the screen, it's like 4 solid hours that he has class. If you just sit there and stare at the screen for 4 solid hours, you know, he's brain dead. But if you get up in between those classes and you dance around a little bit and take care of the body and have a snack in between or whatever, you know, and stay hydrated, for God's sake, stay hydrated, you know, it helps, you know, and you find ways to intertwine your schedule with your household members, you know.
So is that, I don't know, is that a thing that other people have found, that you also kind of put your own need as the non-important thing? We were talking about this because it was a challenge for us, and I assumed it might be for other people, but.
Oh, Grady, do tell.
Yeah, I have a probably a different perspective than most of you. This is so far who's retired. I'm very, very grateful to be self-sufficient. You know, the state of North Carolina dumps money into my bank account once a month, and my health, so I don't have any cares or any worries. Kitty and I have been living at this place called Godfrey Ranch. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. We have been isolated for the last 35 years. So COVID is like nothing new. But I really hit on what you said, because my last day of teaching, I took my watch off and dropped it in the garbage can. And so time is really doesn't matter a whole lot to me, but I have found that since this COVID thing that happened, that my structure has changed. And the first thing that I do in the morning, when I wake up and I'm hungry, because I haven't breakfast. But after that, the things that I do after that are for me. I sit, and then I do some kind of workout, whether it's Tai Chi or it's more an aerobic kind of thing. But those are the two things. And me, and I know that sounds selfish, but it's not selfish. It's because you got to take care of yourself in order to try to help other people. So that's what I have that my time. So that's how, and it used to be random. And a lot of times, like you had said, sometimes by the end of the night, I still want to do this workout, or I just, but that's how it's kind of evolved, that I have those two me things. And then after that, whatever happens is stuff that happens.
And I'd be willing to bet that Kitty would attest that because you take that time for yourself, it makes you a better partner. I hope so. I think so. And I know here, it probably makes me a whole lot more pleasant to be around if I take that time for myself every day to do that thing, you know.
Yeah. So, I hope it helps that people know that, like, I did the math. I wrote it down, and when I do that, I actually get the other work done. So,
yeah.
So you guys hit on something that was one of the other things I want to talk about, which was that time has gotten really squishy for me. It just, it used to click along, and now it kind of is, yeah. And I'm okay with the fact that I think I have slowed down my speed and productivity on all that. But sometimes I also have no idea what I'm doing with my time. And at the end of the day, I feel like I've been busy and I've done stuff, but I don't know what that stuff is. So I feel like I've wasted my day. And so again, I turned to one of these exercises that I did when I was first self-employed, and I just kept track of time for a little bit, for a day or for an afternoon or for several continuous days. Not with any judgment, except that creeps in, but I just write, oh, well, it's 2:00 and this is, what I've been doing for the last hour, and now it's 5 and I can only remember what I did for the last half hour, but here it is. And until I had an idea of what I was doing with the day. And again, I didn't look at it and say, I need to rearrange my day to make myself more productive and to get there. I just looked at it and went, okay, this is how I spend my day. And things changed, because because I was just aware of them, but without
Mm-hmm.
writing on the calendar that I'm going to spend an hour doing this or that. It just kind of, just the looking at it, my brain went, we're going to make some changes here. And for me, that was helpful.
Noticing, yeah, which we didn't have time to do before. Maybe, we didn't necessarily have time to evaluate what is going on inside of us. We just did all the things. Maybe this, in certain ways, this time is kind of a gift. I'm trying to look at it like that. That I can evaluate. I can look and notice without judging whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. This is just what is. And yeah. I for a while I was like beating myself up about not being able to produce. I was like, what is wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. I don't deserve the title of songwriter. I'm doing the wrong thing with my life if I can't do it in times of strife. When am I, in times when people seem to need good music and need, what we do. And I do believe that the world needs music, especially, during times of difficulty. But then I started making also, like the person who resists schedule, I started making appointments with myself to do the work of writing, or at least to make it myself available. I started writing again a little bit with my songwriters group, and then I signed on to, like a crazy person, I signed on to Gary Cooper's year-long, once-a-week songwriting challenge again. And I said, I'm now accountable to people in the group. I'm accountable to other people. And therefore, it's okay, I'm going to write a draft of a song, no matter what. I don't have to wait for the muse to show up. I'm going to go and meet her. I'm going to show up for this block of time on a Monday, and I'm going to draft whatever I can draft. I'm not going to judge whether it's good or it's bad at all. It just is, as you said, Christine, and then I present it in community with my songwriter friends on Monday nights, and then I fix it and I make the video for the other group that I'm accountable to. So, yeah, schedule in a certain sense, for the schedule resistant. So that's helped me. I don't know, putting my creativity on the under the fire, and making myself accountable to myself.
So one of the things that I also noted, go ahead, Grady. You had your hand up, and
I was just going to throw out a question, and again, it's the old school teacher in me. I like to draw more of you to come into this thing. The question is this: has the list of things that are important, and the list of things that you really feel that you need to do, has that list changed, and has the prioritization of that changed because of this COVID stuff?
Anyone?
It's definitely changed for me, because no, there are no live shows. So, all the time I spent booking and promoting is gone. That time is now completely wide open because, of course, you can't do any of it. So, for a while I was a little frozen with that, but then it definitely shifted, and I made a conscious decision a few months ago to take that time that I now have and apply it to me, because I also just kind of started thinking, it's been a hard 4 years. It's liable to be a hard few more years. I should probably be in better shape. Because if I'm going to be fighting, I should be in better shape. So 3.5 months ago about that. And this is not an ad, but it just happened to work for me. I joined Noom. I got the app and I dove in head first, and I completely changed my diet, and I started tracking absolutely everything. And I just thought, you know what, this is the thing that I supposedly couldn't do. And I had very little control over, especially on the road. Very, very hard to control how much activity you get and what you eat when you're on the road, because frequently it's not even up to you. Mm-hmm. So I just really got focused on it. And, I've been doing a live stream pretty much every week since this started. I didn't do it right away because the same thing, I didn't want to take it out of other people's pockets. But one week I just thought, you know what? Lunchtime in the middle of the week. I can't possibly be robbing anybody else at noon on a Wednesday. So maybe I'll just see what happens, and I missed maybe 2 weeks since I started it. I've just been doing it every single week. And it's a very small number of people because, not everybody can stop at noon on a Wednesday to watch a live stream. But it's a nice little core group that seemed to need it. And so, and I discovered, so did I. Because then at least I'm performing once a week. If nothing else, I can actually see people commenting, and I'm actually I'm connecting with the rest of the universe in some form. And so those are the two things that really shifted for me. I felt like I needed to at least be picking up my guitar and singing a formal hour weekly. And I needed to really get refocused on my health, because I also thought, if I get this thing, the healthier I am, the better off I'm going to be.
Right.
The better chances I've got of weathering it if I'm healthier, And so I just figured, no time like now. Can't say you don't have time.
Yeah.
Right now. And, for those of us who, maybe didn't do all the things that, I have all this time, I'm going to learn French, and I'm going to, learn geometry for the first time in my life because I failed it. But
I didn't get there till October, Carolann.
yes, right. But I'm not sure I'm there yet, honestly. But I've learned also to forgive myself for not accomplishing stuff, and watching all of my colleagues and friends, producing, writing these monumental, heart-rending songs during this time, and I'm like, I can't. I just felt, completely at odds, and but forgiving ourselves for not.
That's okay too.
Yeah, and changing the
What you
definition. This is another question I talked about. It kind of changing the definition of what success means. What does it mean to be successful? We had these very strict parameters, probably all of us in different ways, as to what it meant to have a successful day, or what it meant to have a successful week or year or productive day. That's changed,
Let me throw in again from the perspective of this old fart. I've been retired for 20 years, but somehow or the other, I still can't shake this thing of you've got to be productive. You've got to do stuff. Like Kitty is still involved in teaching. She tutors at the high school half day. But anyway, so she came home and said, "What did you do today?" I said, "Nothing." She said, "Well, that's what you did yesterday." I said, "I wasn't finished." Because that's something you've got to, it really, and again, from my perspective, it's easier for me to say than it is for some of you. But there really isn't a lot of stuff that you really, really think, nah, just, let it go, let it go. Again, it's easy for me to say, but that when you said that, forgive yourself. Again, I've been retired for 20 years, but I still have this, I'm supposed to be doing stuff or else I'm not a good person, So that's kind of a crazy struggle I had sometimes. And it's not really a struggle.
Well, yeah, but it is. It's an internal, it's an internal conflict. And I think we all probably experience that, and it's sometimes, and it reminded me, Grady, because you might not even remember this, but early in the pandemic, Grady, you called me. And we don't regularly speak on the phone, but you called me to see how we were doing in New York when things were so bad here. And I will never forget that as long as I live. So thank you. That was a thing. Even if you did nothing else that day, you made me feel better that day. And maybe all of us have done something small like that for somebody. You call somebody, you have exceeded expectations for the day.
I have been doing that, and I'm a little bit trepidatious. I don't want to, what the hell what's that all about, I still did my spook the other day, and I'm calling Jefferson Ross and Jeff Talmadge, and I just sit down and say, I miss these people. And so I call them. They all, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, but they all seem to be pleased that, well, I'm glad you did that. And so
hell yeah,
I'm still doing it from time to time.
is nice.
Yeah. So if anybody, if we pick up the phone or send a text because you miss somebody, then you've accomplished something.
It's kind of like that old call your mama thing.
Really?
Call
Or
your
anybody.
folks,
Oh, reach out to somebody you love.
Yeah.
So I do have to say that one of the difficulties is that when we are making our living or our livelihood or whatever, whatever position you are in music, it, it is a bit hard to say, I'm just going to let it go. And we have to, Aiden and I, we don't have other jobs. So we have to walk this balance of, I don't want to do anything, but we have to do things. And we just tried to make it be the things that we enjoy, which is not every possible thing that you can do online. So we do a thing, like Karen, I realized we have to be out in front of people once a week at least. People will forget about us. I mean, not that that's the worst thing in the world, but it's hard to make fans, and I don't want to leave them at this time. And not just that I don't want to present music to them, but I don't want to lose them as my community right now. So we do it once a week, but this is how lazy we are. We do one song. We do one song on Thursdays at 11. And this was a break time for us. We were like, it's 11, let's take a break, let's have a cup of tea. Well, let's do that with people online, and we play one song. I make a snack.
But you make a snack.
I make a snack. Well, because I like to snack. But so the thing is that we don't really, I don't put out a tip jar. I don't ask for anything. We hold up a sign that ends it and says, here's our website and our Patreon or whatever, but I don't talk about it. And at first I thought, well, we should. But the thing I realized is that people who are our fans, they don't need me to ask. And people don't, it's 10 minutes a week. People don't contribute all the time. But the other day I got a PayPal thing for $25, and I emailed this woman and I said, I'm sorry, I'm looking and I don't see, what did you order? My system's probably not working right. And she goes, oh, nothing. I've just been tuning in for a while and I haven't tipped you, and it's kind of accumulated. So here you go. And she's not the first person to do that. And so sometimes just being there has been productive, and which is one of the reasons why we decided we didn't necessarily need to do concerts, because we could reach people in other ways, and they weren't as lucrative, but it was okay. It was enough, and we could get by doing what we enjoyed doing. That was a nice lesson. It was doing what we enjoyed provided for us enough.
When this stuff first started, John Shane on Facebook did a song a day for 100 days.
Yes,
and I was talking on him with the phone just 2 or 3 days ago, and I mentioned that. He said, 100 was just right. He said, I was running out. And he said, some people were making requests and so on and so forth. He said, but the further along it got, the harder it got. But I told him that I think I enjoyed that as much as I would have, a 45-minute online show or an hour show. It's just every day, just like boop, 3-5 minutes, and there's John. Ooh, that was cool, and then just go on. And so I thought that was a really neat way for him to reach out to us.
Yeah, and changing, just because everybody else is doing a thing. I watched a whole bunch of Johns like that, and I loved them because of that. It was a self-contained thing. It was like, oh, I'm just going to make it feel good for 5 minutes, and that was good enough, And it doesn't have to be, just because everybody else is doing full concerts doesn't mean you got to do a full concert, Just because everybody else is, doing concerts sponsored by a venue doesn't mean you got to do that either. Just because everybody's doing concerts by themselves doesn't mean you got to do that either. Get StreamYard and have a bunch of friends and do this,
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be music. Like, I don't know if you guys, I'm a fan of Belle and Sebastian, and the main guy, Stuart Murdoch in Belle and Sebastian, he's doing like these, God, I don't know, at least once a week, like these meditations, and they're wonderful. and he doesn't play music. And I mean, that's what he's known for. And he
Right.
gets on there, and who knew? Like, I didn't know that he had that interest or that talent, but he like leads people in this meditation, and it's really awesome. And like I started a podcast a couple of weeks ago about this topic, about how do we stay creative during these times. And I've only done a couple of episodes, but now I'm like, God, I just want to work on my podcast. I'm more into that right now than my music. And so it's like, might even be another way that you can connect with your audience, because a lot of people are playing music online right now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, is there something a little different you can do too?
Oh, I love that you're doing that. I
Yeah.
love that.
It's fun.
Podcasts are a thing now. This is
Yeah,
great.
I
I
know.
love that you're doing that. And you're going to have to tell us where we can find that.
I'll put it
podcast,
in
of
here.
course.
Yeah,
Put it in
it's-
the chat.
yeah,
Yeah,
put it in
I'll
the
put
chat.
it, yeah, it's called
wanna find that.
Quarantuned with the Good Graces, because I perform under the name The Good Graces.
Right.
So it's called Quarantuned. But yeah, check it out. It's
Cool.
real fun so far.
You know I will. You know I will.
So is anybody finding that they are developing a deeper connection with their fans? Because I am not building, or we are not building our fan base very much, and we are not broadly reaching them. But for a small kind of tight group, we have really tightened our connection in some surprising ways with people that I didn't know before this, that were on my mailing list, but now they show up every Thursday, and it's just been a real joy.
Gonna say, I do a weekly show on a website called Street Jelly, which I gravitated towards because I live out in the country, and it was the only one I could get to work with my pokey horse and buggy internet here. And because Facebook, it was a pixelated Picasso nightmare, but I've managed to upgrade from 1 megabyte per second to 25. So I've stayed with Street Jelly just because I had a dedicated little audience that has come, and they still come. I've done, yesterday was supposed to be my 45th show, but I changed it to my 46th show. Maybe you guys might understand that, being in the States. But
Nice.
I'm from Canada, just, so I have, I've got a whiteboard just over here to my left, and I do my concerts from another computer. This is not the sexiest background, I know. This is my Zoom computer, but I have like a little clip of letters that folks have sent me, and it's just been, I've done them for a number of reasons for this long while. I mean, for the connection with my audience, and I've invited them to send me requests, and I've learned new material. I haven't written much, and I wanted to speak to Carolann. She mentioned resistance a number of times. And that's the thing I felt as far as creating new material. I haven't done that, but I have learned probably 50 new songs from my audience, and they've sent me beautiful little notes, and thank you for helping me know what day of the week it is. And but more so just the community and the connection we all have. And I love that I've got a fan in Albany, New York, and I have a fan, his daughter lives in California, and she tunes in. And then I have friends in Vancouver Island in Canada, to folks here in Ontario, all over, that have gotten to know each other because of this show. And they've been, so the community has really helped. Living in the country as it was, there wasn't a lot of connection, but even more so with COVID and not touring. And so I feel like it's nurtured it's not hundreds of people, it's maybe 25 or 30, but it's been awesome, having this connection and this little, I call them my Street Jelly family. And my sister is in Edmonton as well. She's a school teacher. She lives alone. She's single. And so she's there every week. So it's just really nice, and it'll be exciting. I kind of want to have a party and gather everybody together when things open up. And Frances is an amazing cook, and have Frances cook and get Paula to make pierogies. And anyway, it's good. So I just wanted to speak to, has it nurtured your fan base? And it's done that, and way more. And of course the financial aspect has, it's not enough to pay my mortgage, but every little bit helps in that regard too. So I'm, but if there's a pie, it's that much. It's that much has helped the heart, sort of thing. So, and I just wanted to speak to that.
Cool.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I love it. Man. And like if you were touring actively like you always do, would you have had time to learn those 50 new songs by other?
Oh,
Of
hell
course
no.
not,
Wow.
right? You know,
No
so
way.
and
No.
that's, you know, that's nurturing creativity too, because I'm sure you're, you know, you're interpreting those songs while you're at it. It's not like you just kind of learn them and play them by rote, but you're interpreting them through the Susie lens, you know, which
Yeah,
is
and it's
awesome.
Yeah.
funny because it's
Yeah.
like there's there's a Quebecois fan. Yeah, Quebec. That's another
Mhm.
my Quebec, but he's a big fan of old like of Wade Hemsworth. So the Black Fly song, and there's the Log Drivers Waltz.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've been like visiting really old folk songs, and I'm a blues person. So it's sort of like James, my partner James, is like, why are you learning this stuff? It's like because it's like there's this pot, this stew, and it's like everything I learned goes in there, and it's gonna come out
Yeah, it's going to come
some sort
out.
of way. And then not to mention, I've been studying Ukrainian on Duolingo for 200. I took a look at my phone, 296 days. So anyway, I just don't remember it all, but yeah. So I've been doing Ukrainian songs too. It's just like that would not necessarily happen at a blues show, but if there's
Yeah.
someone that's Ukrainian in the audience, I might throw in, or I might just do it because it's fun. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Interesting.
Finding
Yeah.
new ways. That's like new ways into creativity. That is beautiful. I love that.
It helps. It's fun.
Yeah.
I used to love the way Natasha Borsalova used to throw in those Russian folk songs.
Right.
Just out of the middle of nowhere, suddenly it would be this Russian folk song. You go, yay!
Well, Natasha's the guitar player from Nashville, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe that.
She used
Yeah.
to be with, she used to be with a band called Bering Strait. They were all Russian, but they were doing like bluegrass stuff, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I checked them out. Yeah, that's neat. And I mean, I'm Ukrainian heritage but Canadian, so
Oh, okay.
so it's like I don't know if you have any of you heard of Loverboy?
Yeah.
Rock band called Loverboy? Yeah,
Sure.
covered some Loverboy.
I want to hear that. That's awesome.
Cool.
It's all over. To April Wine, Tom Cochran, and who else? Oh God, it's been lots of Three Dog Night.
So now I feel like your fans are just kind of messing with you sometimes. Let's see if she'll do this.
She can do this.
No, but some of those are my choices. Songs I played as a teenager. So it's really fun. So the shows are eclectic as hell. I even did. I'll shut up after this, but I did a version at Christmas time. So I've been doing solo songs on bass, vocals and bass, and I did "Sunshine I Love." But I have a version that has the lyrics from "Santa Claus is Coming to Town" that works over it. You better watch out, Dad. You better not cry. So I do that too. Anyways, just
Nice.
it's all over the map. Welcome to
Yeah.
my brain. Okay, I'll shut up now. Bye.
Talk all day. I love that. Oh, that's wonderful.
So as we're starting to wind down, I have to say that one of the other reasons I wanted to do this and kind of talk about strength building is that, and now I'm going to bring it all down now that Susie was making us laugh, is that I feel like the landscape of live music and live performance has really changed. And it may change for a lot longer than we think. It's not just about vaccines. It's about gathering together again. It's about what venues are there. It's about what we can all afford to do. And we need the tools to navigate that. They're not just business tools. They have to be personal and internal tools, and we have to develop those alongside the new business tools. But maybe I'm the only person who feels that way. Maybe I'm the only person who thinks that the world is just forever changed. Yeah. How do y'all feel?
I talked to Mike Vile, who not only is a singer-songwriter, but he's an English teacher. And of course, I was talking with him because I said, well, what is it like? You know, because he's still actively teaching. And it's the whole thing that everything has been thrown up into the air. And there are two things. One, it's scary because it's hard to try to reach those kids through a computer and crazy ass schedules and so on and so forth. But on the other hand, it's exciting because you get to be part of how teaching and learning are going to be different. and they are, and this the whole thing. Same thing with the music. It's going to be different, so it's got to be exciting to be part of how it's going to come down. And yeah, so it is exciting and scary at the same time.
Terrifying, at least for me.
Me
I
too.
don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what's on the other side. I don't know. I mean, I've even gone so far. I'm going to be, since I've been very open today, I'm going to be even more open. I've been just thinking, am I even going to be playing music when this is done? Am I going to, call up all the old venues where I used to play, and some of them don't exist, or I'm 47th in line for, for a spot or whatever. Yeah, what am I going to do after
Right.
this? Am I going to do something else? Am I going to go back to teaching, Grady, or am I going to, or is that
Yeah.
ship sailed? What happens next?
And it's not like we ever had like a really stable career to begin with,
No.
right? And now it's like, wait a
Right.
minute, I was just barely floating here, and now
Right.
I'm taking on water.
Yeah,
So yeah,
resiliency, though, this is the thing that we're learning here. We're learning flexibility and
right.
finding new ways to bend,
Yeah.
to bend.
Yeah, and kind of figuring out what it is we all need. And so again, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this, to say, yes, let's build our business skills, and let's build our music skills. But yes, let's also build our personal strength, so that whatever happens in the coming years, we are better able to navigate and to help each other navigate.
And maybe, at least for me, it's this whole time is we spend a lot of time planning. We spend, where am I going to be next month, next 6 months, in a year, because we're booking our calendars so far in advance, and whether we're presenter or artist or venue, we're all planning in advance. But we don't have an advance right now, so we're thinking. I find myself thinking, becoming very Buddhist about this, and I'm thinking of the urgency of now, and the only thing that matters is right now, and being fully present to all you guys here, and fully present to my family and people that I love, and and in the moment. Sometimes the moment is terrifically unpleasant, but it's teaching me that hard lesson of being present, and hopefully that is something that we can carry forward. I'm alone in that kind of thinking.
I'm just curious, because the music industry has changed, and with the COVID, people not touring, and I mean, I have a resistance to technology and TikTok and everything. Where's the music? Where's the money coming from? How do you support yourself?
So we started a Patreon account, which I was very reluctant to do because it just felt like failure to me. I mean, it felt like I was asking people for money, and I made it very much about stuff. We will do a video for you every month. We will do songs for you every month. And sometimes people don't watch the videos, and I actually, I'm doing these. You're paying for them. Why aren't you watching them? And they do say, well, we're just supporting you. We watch sometimes, and we binge watch sometimes. But the other thing is, we are getting to know this. I don't have a huge group of supporters, but we're getting to know them really well, and they're getting to know us. Like, we've done a tour of our house and the yard and the garden, and Aiden has done some furniture making demonstrations, and they're getting to know us on a non-musical level. So that the Patreon account has been really nice for us. And then, just kind of some different sort of online gigs that are not solely musical. We've done some kind of lecture / music things, which have been interesting. So yeah, we've been trying to get flexible and
Can I ask you about Patreon, Christine?
yeah.
Just so let's say, just as a number, there's $100 total that you receive from your fans. How much of your 100 do you get? Like 90? Do they take?
They take 8%.
So you'd get 92 of the 100. Then.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And it kind of seems like a lot, but then it's a platform where they're hosting everything. So when people sign on, they can go look at the stuff we've done in the past, but then also move forward. And they do the monthly credit card collection,
Yeah.
or annual, whichever people choose. So it's been it's been good for us.
I've been debating it for months and months and months. But I mean, I do have, my folks have been super helpful at the Street Jelly site. And there's people that donate there, or they donate
Yeah.
on. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you, Matthew.
But my suggestion would be don't overcommit to, like, don't say, oh, and I will send you things every week. Like, you know,
Oh, that's my resistance.
Yeah, pick a reward that you feel like you'll enjoy doing and you can do on that time frame. And if it's not working, change it, because otherwise you're just doing something you hate forever. So, yeah.
I've got it all set up except for what I do. So, and the fact I haven't written any songs, so I've been feeling, good Catholic guilt, I guess. But
I feel you.
Right there with you.
And Ukrainian, so it's like doubling. Anyway, okay, thanks.
At least you're not Jewish, Susie.
Same thing, different food.
Yeah.
Would you guys do something for me? I would like for you to put your right hand on your left shoulder and your left hand on your right shoulder. And I would like for you to think of me. Please. I really missed that. Thank you.
Me too. Me too. I dreamed of hugging people the other night. Really astonishing.
Yes, funny. I actually remember the last person I hugged before all this happened, you know, who was not my immediate family. I know who that person was. It's crazy.
Wow. I'm not sure who it was. Oh my gosh. You guys, I'm very grateful that people showed up to hear Christine and I talk. I'm grateful that, you know, you all had plenty to say and contribute. This has made me.
I was going to contribute as a Patreon consumer. One of the things I enjoyed the most is the private Zoom with the Patreon members.
Cool.
Excellent.
That's good to know. Thanks.
It is. Although I gotta say, I have found Zoom concerts to just not sound as good, which is my big hesitation to doing any concert on Zoom. But that's just
not sound as good as other platforms, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I would suggest, I've used Brandon from Farm as a tech twice now, and he walks you through and gets everything set. It's getting better. Zoom is making it better, so it's worth investigating. Brandon, yeah, it's reasonable and he's super helpful. He hosted my shows. I did, because I did a couple shows non-Wednesday nights at 7, just because not always the best time for everybody. So I did a Christmas show on the weekend and another one a few weeks ago. So yeah, I can send you his info if you want, or post it in the chat if you want, Karen.
Thank you.
And just in case anyone's interested, I put the Street Jelly link because nobody knows what the hell I'm saying. But if you want to pop in on Wednesday and check out, what am I doing? Earth, Wind, and Fire and Tragically Hip, if I can get them together for next Wednesday.
I'd like to say just one last thing before we get too technical. Two songs come to mind. I'm not a performer, but I am a DJ and I listen to a lot of music. And when a song, sometimes it really hits me when they remember me. It's like there's a message saying that you are remembered or you are loved, or somehow to connect us to the community and kind of remind us that we are important in what we do. If a song could hit that note, it really moves me, you know, and especially now, I guess, because we don't have each other physically, you know, but like Maria Dunn's new album has one song on there that reminds us that we are important, you know, and we are remembered. And I think that's an important message to get across.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. In fact, I moved with these pieces of paper. I bet you can see them back there.
That's what they say.
And they're up there every single week when I do a live stream. I have little signs that say, "You are loved, you are not alone." Just so that when people tune in every week to watch me, it's right there. I don't even have to, you know, I just like, you know, and I stuck them on my wall months ago, moved to Texas and stuck them on my wall here.
Nice.
I'm sure it's a good reminder for yourself too, Karen. Good reminder for me every time I tune in on a Wednesday afternoon. That's for sure.
And I posted Brandon's info if you guys want to save the chat. You'll get that other stuff, high
Yeah.
stuff, but just ignore that. But the information's there if you want to, any of you need any tech info there.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you guys for showing up and for sticking through the Zoom bomb adventure so early on. And
Yeah. Sorry it took me so long to get those. My first experience with it.
Do we know what next month's session is?
Yes, I posted it actually. It's about
Cool.
crowdfunding. So it will include some Patreon talk and other things. So,
Awesome.
yes, February 18th, 3 p.m. Eastern.
What's the date again, Matt?
The 18th. It's always the third Thursday
at
3
3
p.m.
That alliteration makes it easy to remember, right? Third Thursday, 3.
Right.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to hit end on this
Okay.
thing.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks for hosting it, Matthew.
Love you guys.
Matthew,
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Nice to see you.